Alrighty, guys, it is time to wrap it up for today. It is Thursday, June 25th, and I'm not seeing any rock and roll to the downside. So it's just kind of flopping. I've been waiting for it. I thought it's going to happen here early on when I took my one and only trade on the Nasdaq, and then it didn't. And then the last attempt to start taking it high, I figured that was an opportunity, but you can see how slow it is. It's just not tradable. If they start taking off, it'll be pretty freaking obvious, and you'll be able to maybe hop on a trade there. But right now, it doesn't look like anything's going on. So we may get late in the day, like in the next 10 minutes at 3:50 or so. Usually they get a little bit of action there, but I'm thinking the MA's going to stick in the range, twist in the wind here going into the close. So the way it looks to me is going to start range bound going into tomorrow's trading. I would favor the short side given what's going on. We traded up, we traded down, we are kind of holding on the lower end of the range. So as long as they hold this support area, the 7400, I would say probably 7400 to 7415, these two support areas. If that holds, maybe start range bound and favor the short side. If they for some reason trade below it, I would just going to be flat out on the short side of this. So that's the way I'm looking at it. On the Nasdaq, it's just pretty much in the middle of the range. So all this volatility back and forth is just crazy. I mean, you see, we started way up here, and that got knocked down. That was the euphoria from the overnight. It really knocked it down hard. I mean, come on, I can't even move it up here. Just keep snapping back. Yeah, one shot that's doing something there. I know it just keeps snapping back. So it's the range is too much. So I would just start off range bound on the Nasdaq, and I maybe keep a slight bias to the downside on the ES right now. Nasdaq has to kind of take out some of these areas. The at 530s, we need to start thinking about moving lower. But it is sloppy and it's range bound. And if you probably easy to see in the bigger picture on the capital flow. Here you have the action. We are trading right at this area right now. So we are pretty much in the middle of the range on the Nasdaq. So that's the Nasdaq capital flow. Here's your ES capital flow. And you can see the ES is a little bit more to the downside here, looking at they want to try to take this lower. So whatever it is unwinding is creating some crazy volatility. Also, that Micron earnings report totally threw everything out of whack. So, and that has been wildly swinging. So it is some crazy stuff going on now. It feels a little bit overdone. I mean, that Micron reactions, the fear of missing out kind of dynamic going on there. They're just running after it, chasing that thing up into the skies. I get a little bit nervous about that. Again, my thesis there is that yeah, it's a bottleneck, but you have in memory chips are not like intellectual property like like the GPUs and the CPUs that they're using for the AI processing. So a different kind of technology. So I'm thinking that they should be able to close that bottleneck pretty quick, and at that point, these crazy price expectations or volume expectations may just come tumbling down pretty hard. Either that or the supply is going to come up and then tumble down the prices on it anyway. So it's my thought process on it. They may be a little bit out there. I don't know how fast they can close the bottleneck on the memory side of it, but it feels like very much like something where they can close it reasonably fast, you know. Anyway, so starting off ES range bound, slight bias to the downside, if anything, watching that lower support area. If they can hold where they are right now, maybe start more range bound. On the Nasdaq, we are starting off flat out range bound to see what's going on. Only trade I've taken so far has been on the ES. Sorry, on the Nasdaq here. That was on the way up here. Tried a short trade, and you can see get in, got shaken out of that thing, and it was like barely moving. So it's like, sorry, it was moving so much that it doesn't look like much on the chart. It's probably the right way to say it, but it was moving pretty good. And it's like, if I got in on that thing, it would have been a nice trade. But I was in, I was at maybe $30 on plus side, so it looked pretty good. And then they were right back, stopped me out, and then kept going. So that's how it is. So on the bond market, here you have the reason I didn't take that trade I was talking about. I was looking at this long trade here at the 04 and 05s. And you can see here they just took it one leg lower. So they're down here at the lower end of the range again. So he wasn't quite feeling that support there. It was slowly drifting to the downside. So, and here we are all the way down here to the 114. So at this point, watch that 114. If that comes out, They reversed the whole range from the start of the day. So if that comes out, I would look for maybe a retracement trade on the bonds here. I haven't done anything on the cryptos today, so not much to talk about there. But ES and Nasdaq looks pretty wild. This volatility is nothing but crazy. Tomorrow morning we got international trade and consumer sentiment. I think consumer sentiment at 10 is probably the only one really to pay attention to. Otherwise, we're pretty much wrapped up for the week. So there you have it, guys. Crazy day. Just one trade. I did a couple of other trades on a different account, and I just got, it says a few losers, a few shakeouts, and I say it's just too volatile. So you have to trade with a lot bigger stops and be prepared to make a lot bigger trades than you want to. So if you're not prepared for that, don't trade it. Trading it with too small of a stop, it will just churn your account and knock you out too many times. You can try it a couple of times, you may get lucky, but it's a couple of attempts and it doesn't work, then stop. There's no point of over trading that. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you back tomorrow, Friday. Thank God it's Friday. We'll wrap it up for the week. See you guys later.